Let's turn our attention to how we understand the meanings of modals. The first modal function we're going to discuss is expressing the speaker's degree of certainty about the actions or events they're referring to. We call these modals epistemic. The word epistemic is an adjective that means relating to knowledge. Its origin lies in the Greek word episteme, knowledge. This use of modals allows us to display the degree to which we're sure of our knowledge about certain events or actions. For example, if I say, "We can see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I am indicating the ability to do so, not the prediction that the scene will happen. And if I say, "We could see you tomorrow at 4, my ability is tentative." Saying, "We may see you tomorrow at 4 indicates a chance that the scene will happen, and the use of might in the same utterance indicates a slight likelihood. "We will see you at 4, however, is a prediction of a pretty strong degree of confidence. In other words, modals used in their epistemic function allow us to express guesses and let the recipient know we're guessing, while at the same time indicating the confidence we have in our guess. The other function of modals is to tell others what to do. Modals used in this function express different degrees of imposition on the recipient, from orders to gentle suggestions. We call these modals Deontic. The word Deontic is an adjective meaning relating to duty or obligation. Its history dates back to the Greek root deont, which means to be needed or necessary. For example, "Thou shalt not commit adultery" is one of the biblical commandments. It expresses a very strong, very formal proscription. "You will come to the office on time or face dismissal" is an order, and a pretty imperious one at that. Note that to be an order, the modal will needs to be stressed. Without stress, it is merely an expression of future. "You will come to the office on time." The quote-unquote past tense form would, as in "would you come visit sometime," expresses a request rather than a command. Must, on the other hand, is a strong urging, as in "you must come and see me sometime." And should, used in the same sentence instead of must, is advice or a mild injunction. If can replaces should in the same context, we're now dealing with a permission, and could indicates a suggestion. May, like can, expresses permission, but tends to be used more formally than can. And might makes this utterance a mild suggestion. Again, you can see that the use of different modals in the same utterance changes how much pressure is put on the recipient to perform the action of the verb, from a formal order, as with shall or shall not, to a very mild hint, as with could or might. So, how do we know which modals are epistemic and which ones are deontic? Well, we have to look at the context and the intended meaning of the speaker or writer. Any of the 9 modals can be used both in the deontic and epistemic functions, probably with the exception of shall, which has no contemporary epistemic uses, at least not in North American English. Consider, for example, the modal can. In the utterance, "we can see you tomorrow at 4, it refers to a potential ability and thus functions epistemically. In the sentence, "you can come see me tomorrow at 4, it expresses permission and thus acts deontically. But not all modals work with the same subjects and in the same context with the same verbs. For example, may, can, and could are all used to ask permission. "May I borrow your pencil?" Or "Can I borrow your pencil?" Or "Could I borrow your pencil?" These utterances vary only in how much the speaker feels they're imposing on the recipient and how formal they have to be. All these utterances work fine with the subject I and the verb borrow. But if we change the subject to you and the verb to loan, may no longer works. We can say, "Can you loan me your pencil?" or "Could you loan me your pencil?" but not "May you loan me your pencil?" These subtleties of usage are sometimes hard for adult learners of English to acquire. They may need to be taught explicitly in the ESL classroom. Now that we have discussed the forms and meanings of modals, we will move on to phrases that we call marginal modals and semi-modals. The next section of the lecture will define these terms and explain the differences between pure modals and semi and marginal modals.